Ian Mugo, and of course this is the Guza Guza production, and we are back again now. And today we are going to talk about factors in which journalists use to determine newsworthiness. Which are some of the factors that they say they use to determine that this is a news, this is not a news. Of course, we have 7 of them. We have 7 of them that we're going to discuss today, and I hope you're going to learn something maybe you never knew before. Now, if you consider to our media outlet, for instance, the print, not necessarily much the print, but the broadcast media, you find to see that if it's the news bulletin, you'll find we have maybe 7 to 10 news items, but that doesn't mean that we only had 10 happenings in the country and outside the world. We have those factors that we consider, that journalists consider, to determine that this is a news, this is not a news. Now, which are those factors? One is about negativity. What is negativity? Negative is it's something that is not good. Negative is something that is bad. Occurrence that is not good. Maybe it can be, let's say, an accident. It can be a death, a mysterious death, or it can also be a death of a prominent person. Or France, you know, we have some fire outbreaks. Those are negative things. So journalists or the media outlets will focus more on those because they sell a lot, you know. So people will want to know more about maybe what happened. So you find they want to know, and remember, media is about telling people about what is happening, so they will tend to tell people about these negative things, so it will attract their attention, and definitely is going to be covered. Now, that's about negativity. What else? We have something by the name timeliness. What is timeliness? Timeliness, for instance, we have you know, news is perishable, as tomatoes or as other vegetables are perishable. Perishable means they cannot take too long. Yeah? When they take too long, they are going to go bad. For instance, tomatoes, the same happens to news. But we have soft and hard news. I'm talking about hard news. Hard news is something that happened today. So if it's not going to be reported today, it is not going to be a news anymore. And remember, we have something that if you report today, it might be a running story, so it needs to be adjusted as we move on. So we need to give people updates on what is happening. So when you talk about timeliness, for instance, if it's the budget that is going to be read on, let's say, today, so people want to know about the budget today, what was contained in the budget today. They don't want to wait until a week or 2 days for them to be told what happened. They want to know people. They want to know things that they happen. Remember, people want to know new things. They want to learn about new things. They want to know about things that maybe they never knew there before. So timeliness is another factor. So we have talked about negativity, we have talked about timeliness. So the third one is prominence. What is prominence? Prominence is an objective, but prominent is a noun. So what is a prominent? Prominent is a person, you know, a person who is highly rated in the society. They can be religious leaders, political leaders, they can be, you know, well-established musicians. So whatever, everything that these people will do or will think about will be of interest to people. For instance, if the president is about to address the country, president is very prominent. Even if it's not about something official, whatever president does, even if he attends a church service at a certain ministry, we are going to cover him. We are going to concentrate and want to know what the president will say, what the president will do, because he is prominent. We also have prominent footballers. When a prominent footballer scores a goal, we have likes of Messi, Ronaldo. They are very prominent. So even their private life, maybe it will be of interest to people. People will want to know more about these people because they have been established well in the society. So they will tend to know more about them. So we have talked about negativity, we have talked about timeliness, and we have also talked about prominence. We also have something by the name, the fourth factor, sorry, is something by the name oddity. What is oddity? Oddity comes from the word odd. Odd is something that we don't expect it to happen, or we don't expect such thing to happen. For instance, we have situation where a dog can bite a man. That is something that maybe we can expect. But we also have instances. Now here is where oddity comes in. Instances where a man bites a dog. We don't expect that to happen. So when such things happen, it will attract journalists to cover that story, so that they can tell people about, they can share oddity to the listeners or to viewers. So oddity is another factor. We also have another example maybe of oddity. Some years back, in our country main media, I happened to see a story of a woman who was married to two men. That is oddity, because generally, basically, we expect maybe if it's about polygamous to be exercised by the male gender. We expect men to have more female, more women. It is acceptable. A man can have 2, 3, 4, or even the number he wants. But for a woman, it is something that many people are not used to. So when such happens, definitely it's going to attract interest and some interest from the media, and that's why you see such story is being covered. So we have talked about negativity, we have talked about timeliness, we have talked about prominence, we have also talked about oddity. We also have something by the name impact. Yeah, the fifth now. We have something by the name impact. What is impact? Impact is how this story is being covered is going to affect the people. Impact is the people. When, for instance, I have my phone here, if it falls down, the rate in which it's going to fall down is called impact. Now it's going to impact. Now people will want to know the consequence of that story. For instance, when Corona came, media was the main player. When the Corona was there in the first days, media was there to tell people, we have Corona, we have Corona, we have to do this, we have to wear face masks. If we are not going to wear, we have consequences of that impact, of that Corona, which is impact, is going to, maybe you are going to affect your family, so you have that social distancing. So impact is how the story is affecting people, how story is going to affect people. So people will want to know about the story, the consequence of maybe the effect, they want to know how that story is going to affect. So things that affect them, things that affect people more, they're going to attract interest from journalists, and that maybe story will be considered for airing. So we have you have talked about impact. Now the other thing is about conflict. Conflict is a misunderstanding between two parties or more. So you can find maybe a party A and a party B fighting for some interest. So such interest, such occurrences is going to attract journalists for coverage. For instance, we are in a political season in our country, so you find political party A is going to have some conflict with political party B. Now, in their political campaign, they'll be attacking each other. So that's kind of a conflict. And definitely that's going to attract journalists. They will cover that story, maybe on two-sided story, and it's going to produce some newsworthy to such media outlet. And still on conflict, for instance, we have Mbundits, Mbundits. That though conflict and negativity, it's kind of brother and sister, but they are in different age groups. So we have to cover them, individually. They are somehow related, but generally, conflict is about more than two party or more than two party coming to conflict. Maybe they are in a disagreement over something. So in such, journalists are going to cover that story because it's going to cause, or it's going to help them, sell. Again, remember, media is about competition. So media A will want to cover more and good stories than media B, so that it can win viewership, it can win fans, they can get more popular, and that's going to help them even in their marketing. People will want to advertise with them. So it's always important, and it's about competition. So media A will want to do more on coverage than media B, and we still have them monitoring each other. Media A will keep on monitoring media B to see what they have they have talked about, to see their news, whether what media A have, media B has, and maybe if they don't have, they can follow up the story and bring the same, so that they cannot lose viewership. So we have talked about conflict. We also have human interest. Actually, human interest is the broad category of all. It's a mother of all. These are stories that brings about people, about their lives. It's more of emotional, We can have a story of, for instance, a deaf who is doing extraordinary things. For instance, he is a deaf, yes, but he has invented some channels of income, and maybe he has passed a lot of things. He was neglected by the family, he was neglected by the community, but he or she still manages it. So that kind of a story is going to come with it, with a lot of emotions to the people, and it's going to affect them emotionally. So such stories are going to attract coverage from journalists, and it's one of the basic and important news elements as much as newsworthiness is concerned. So when you talk about human interest, to add a little bit, you find that human interest is about conditions of people, human conditions. Human conditions. We have somebody who is very prominent. They passed a lot in their life for them to be where they are. So whatever they passed a lot, when it's being aired by any media outlet, it's going to sell a lot. Yeah. So human interest story is basically about stories that affect human conditions. Maybe you have a woman who was abandoned by the husband. The land was sold by the relatives. She was chased away. She's struggling to educate the kids. So such stories are going to attract journalists' attention, and definitely such stories will be covered. So basically, those are some of the main elements. We have more, but those are the mother of elements. Those are the key elements that journalists will consider when covering a story. I hope today we have learned something about the elements in which journalists consider when covering stories. So when you see a story in bulletin, a story in maybe print media, you know, we have online media, we also have broadcast media. So when you see a story there, definitely you have to know that we have criteria that was used to ensure that those stories are there. And definitely we have talked about prominence, we have talked about negativity, we have talked about human interest, we have talked about oddity, we also talked about conflict, among others, which will help us maybe understand. So when you see a news anywhere, maybe in media, in broadcast, everywhere, just know we have some criteria, and definitely those we have just discussed about are the mother of criteria. My name is Ian Mugo, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I'm Ian Mugo, the reporter, and this is the Guza Guza production, and definitely we are aiming to improve more. We are going to be doing these things more. So until next time, bye.